Today's session is a mix of some of technical as well as non-technical aspects of our guest services environment. Here, I want to emphasize an important part of our guest services, which is not technical. Think about this. Courtesy without competency is bad service. What does that mean? Well, we can be nice as pie and as caring as Mother Teresa, but if we can't figure out how to check a guest in using WebRes Pro, what good is being nice? If we can't find the keys or the keys don't work, what have we really done to serve our guests? We can show them to their room, but if it's not clean or properly equipped, what good is it? Another way to say it is that we need to be able to handle the technical aspects of our role. Otherwise, courtesy is overshadowed. Likewise, competency without courtesy is also bad service. We can be technically proficient in everything we do, but if we don't engage the guest with kindness and compassion, we've also not served our guests with excellence. An ancient writer put it this way: let your life bring joy, love, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, and self control. Another writer puts it this way: clothe yourself with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. That's a great way to live and a great way to serve. The bottom line is that you need both competency and courtesy. Much of our training covers the various technical aspects of our roles. Some of our training covered some of these soft skills needed to serve our guests with the kind of compassion that they deserve. And we hope you take in as much about these soft skills as do the technical aspects of your role to help serve our guests with excellence. Okay, I'm going to pause for just a moment. Well, let's look back at the Joe Guest story. If you wouldn't mind finding in your packet the story so that you're able to follow along. If you have multicolored highlighters, you might want to read through the story on your own and use one color to highlight the things that went as well as we would hope anyway. And you can use the other color to highlight the things that didn't go so well. If you only have a pen or a pencil, that's fine. Like circle the things that went right and underline the things that went wrong. Please pause the video to mark up your story, your copy of the story. Okay, now that you've had a chance to mark up your story, and I hope you did, if you haven't, please pause and do so because we're going to walk through this now. There are some a few items that I want to highlight and emphasize. As the story begins, in that first paragraph, it notes that they were talking with some nice people at the hospital in Pittsburgh. They suggested they could stay at a place called Family House. I think this is something that went right. Our hospital partners knew about us, knew to refer us. Um, they were kind at the hospital for sure, and they were able to reach us. If we look further down through the story, I think we'll go through a couple other things that maybe went right. And look to the third paragraph on that first page, around the middle. This is when Mrs. Guest had called the answering service um, and sent our resident manager, Frank in this case, down to welcome our guests. He said, "I'm so sorry about the difficulty you had finding us." Right? That's the type of compassion we need. We couldn't really influence the story until they arrived, but boy, we could try to take the edge off when they did. So that kindness needs to be extended, and Frank did a great job there. Um, Let me go back and point out a couple of things that didn't go so well. If we look at that second paragraph, it says that they arrived at 233 McKee Place. Well, as of December of 2020, rather, that building no longer exists. But on the web, it's still identified as our primary address as an organization. So if somebody simply Googled or put a GPS in their browser, it could come up, that 233 address. Not again something that we can address, but something that our guests might face. Just down the next paragraph, when they got to University Place, they parked in an open spot. Right, that seems like not too big of a deal until we really think that most of those spaces aren't ours. Most of those, uh, the university will ticket people if they're not there on university club business. We've got the few spaces along the entrance on the right hand side, but not in the middle of the lot. Um, there probably was an opportunity to address this concern, right? When the answering service sent them, that could have been an opportunity. And also, as Frank welcomed them, perhaps he could have asked them where they parked their vehicle. Knowing that we have very limited parking, that we know that this is a major hurdle for our guests, and would be a great opportunity to be preventative of future problems. If you look down at the bottom of the page, um, here's where Frank might have gone a little off uh, script. I think Frank was trying to really ensure that he did a good house tour. And normally resident managers don't do too many tours. I mean, there are late arriving guests, and it does occur. Usually it's our volunteers that will do those earlier in the day. Um, but as Frank was showing them around the house, he wasn't really reflecting on their state of being, how they were feeling. They were tired. It was a long day. They just wanted to get to their room. He could have given them the Cliff Notes version. He didn't need to tell them all about all these things. So we need to use some good discretion there. On the next page, that second paragraph, when Mrs. Guest called about linens, the right thing there isn't to say, "Hey, they're up on the eighth floor. Go, good luck." Again, we know they've traveled and they're tired, and the above and beyond opportunity there would have been to go retrieve them and take them down. It would have been inconvenient for Frank, but that's how we would best serve the guests. Their inconvenience certainly is larger than ours. A little later, just near the end of the story, um, they walked to the hospital. This is a man who has been dealing with cancer for many years. He's not feeling so well. They're probably worried about what's next. And the last thing that those guests need to do is walk. There are options that we need to be aware of. So it's on us to be able to figure out and problem solve. Perhaps we could even call on hospital security if none of our other options work. So I hope by sharing a few of these examples, I was able to share with you ways to be preventative of some of these defects in ways that will serve our guests to the best of our ability. Well, I hope this Joe Guest story was helpful to you in some way, and that you will add to this story as you continue to serve our guests. Okay, well, that's a wrap on this section. I believe Linda will be up next, providing a recap on today's section and closing us out. Again, thanks so much for your attention today.